basketball fans, it's the first day of the NBA. Not for the Toronto Raptors, though. They don't kick off until Wednesday night against the Cleveland Cavaliers. But we are getting ready for the season. It's Akil Augustine on Raptors Today. First episode of the year for the handsome Randy Urban, the country boy.
Hi, guys.
The country boy in town.
Country boy, Randy Urban. And then,
Thanks
of course,
for having me.
the principal, Paul Jones. Let's get into it. Randy, it's your first day here, so let's talk about it. We're looking at
It's my 11th season, but yeah, okay.
We're just talking about this year, okay? Calm down, buddy. All right, jump into it. You weren't with us in Montreal, so we didn't get your thoughts on how this preseason has played out for the Toronto Raptors. Before we head to RJ and Quick, your thoughts on what's coming up in year 2 for Darko?
Well, I think this season's going to be a lot better than what the kind of narrative has been.
I'm with you.
You know,
I'm with you.
I just feel like they can't be that bad with the players that they have. Like they set out their roster yesterday. I mean, everybody already knew what it was going to be, but it's a strong roster. Like there are
Top
backups.
heavy,
Yeah,
but strong.
But there's solid backups at every position. I think this team's going to be a lot better than what people think.
I don't know. Maybe this is bad, but I'm agreeing with Randy. Like
That's probably a bad sign.
Right.
So take the under.
Tell me,
Take the under.
Tell me a team where you can lose 4 starters and they can still be good. Because last year, Quickley, Barrett, Pirtle, and Barnes were out. And the Raptors lost like 15 in a row or whatever, and people are like, oh, they're terrible. Well, like, tell me a team where I can take out your four starters, your best players, and you go and play the rest of the league.
Well, 2 of those 4 guys that we're about to hear from now, it's time for Quickley and Barrett to speak up.
RJ, how is your shoulder? Right now, I mean, it feels better than it did 2 weeks ago. So, that's good. Progression, I can shoot, work out a little bit more now. So, yeah.
Is it something where you still be hesitant to plow through a screen or that kind of stuff?
I guess it's something right now that's kind of like, what Darko said. We're treating it like day by day. Because, sometimes, like, I was feeling good yesterday, didn't feel so good. Today I feel better than I did yesterday. So it's just, a work in progress.
I'm sure you want to be out there tomorrow. Is it tough to find that balance between like the competitor in you that wants to be out there probably yesterday versus trying to be patient and cautious with it?
Yeah, I mean that was my goal. My goal is to play tomorrow. But if I go through tomorrow, don't feel right, then just gonna have to be what it is. So, like I said, we're treating it like it's day by day, just going off of how I feel, getting stronger, and also when I come back, being able to stay back and not have a setback is a huge thing.
It seems like there's a real closeness and camaraderie with this group. I imagine a lot of that is just the amount of time that you spent together over the summer. How does that compare to teams that you've been a part of in the past, and how much do you think that sort of thing translates on the court?
I think this is definitely more one of the close-knit groups I've been around, and I think it definitely translates on the court, just the fact that you can trust someone on the floor when your team is, together off the floor a lot. You guys just can bond a lot, and it translates as far as defensively, trust, communication, being able to hold others accountable.
I was just asking RJ about the difference between Grady last year and this year and the approach maybe he has. What have you noticed from last year to this year?
I think when you're coming from college to the NBA, it's a totally different game. And sometimes you can, not understand the game as much, but now you can start to see he's understanding a lot better, especially defensively. Obviously, everybody knows he can shoot it, he can score, he can finish at the rim. Now just trying to get the defensive part, which I think he's coming along great. And he also has a great mind as far as, asking questions and trying to learn and things like that. And that's what you need as a young player to get better in this league.
Well, you heard it straight from the horse's mouth, RJ, saying it's still, day-to-day, game-time decision expected for whether he's a go against Cleveland with the shoulder that was so, shouts out to the former Raptor, Jonas Valanciunas, really doing his job with
hard screens. Yeah.
But let's talk about, we talked yesterday, Randy, you were here, about the first 12 games of the season and the fact that it's an onslaught. And then you factor in now health concerns for RJ. How troubled are you for this team finding its rhythm in the way it wants to, understanding that it's a little bit behind the gun in terms of the playoff teams?
Well, I think that the first 10 games are kind of a crapshoot for all teams, right? Not everybody's just is settled into to how they're going to be for the rest of the season. So
we're not all Boston.
No, I think you could surprise a bunch of teams. I think if you play hard, which the Raptors did primarily in the preseason, then you can stump some teams early on. I look at the schedule and everybody's like, oh, it's a terrible schedule. I mean, what game is going to be easy in the NBA?
There aren't.
Charlotte, maybe. I don't know.
Don't say that this year, man.
That's true. It's true.
Even Detroit's going to, okay, Washington, maybe.
Okay, well, I mean, it's a tale of two games for the Raptors in the preseason.
Yeah. But there are, to your point, Randy, and I agree with that. And I said this yesterday. You get people early. I used the example last year. Raptors beat Minnesota in the first game of the year. Minnesota ends up in the conference finals.
Yeah.
Albeit a different team, a lot of water under the bridge from A to B, but you can play hard. You beat teams early before they get going. And when you're in Toronto and rebuilding, the first tenet, the baseline, the foundation of the rebuild is to play hard.
Yeah.
And some nights you're going to beat teams just by playing harder, just by outworking them. So
there's no RJ for that effort.
No, but that's got to be the way it is going forward. You have to play hard. And look, nobody thought the Raptors were going to win 48 games when they got Scotty for his first year. Right. So I see this team. If one of the foundations, the pillars of your success is hard work, start with that right off the top, and then who knows what happens if you get going. Right.
Okay. All right.
Maybe surprise some teams early on, and then all of a sudden your confidence is there. Things start meshing. Things start happening.
Let's say Rasheed Wallace is happy and both teams played hard. Okay? It's a given now. We're starting there.
Yeah.
Let's look at this Toronto Raptors team and talk about Quickley.
Yeah.
Quick's a big part of what this team. They shot the three ball well. Scotty Barnes was out there being aggressive. Grady's looked good, but we've reserved a lot of that attention at the 3-point line to IQ and what he can do. But we also saw the passing in Game 1, Jonesy.
That's huge.
But how do you? Here's my question: how does he temper both? Because he needs to be aggressive, but it doesn't work if your point guard's shooting all the time.
He needs to become a real point guard. And I'll get.
What's a real point guard?
Well, the old school.
Steph Curry's a point
in
guard.
Today's NBA, it's different. It's kind of like, putting the powder in the drink. How much do I put in? How do I want it to taste?
Homemade Gatorade.
And back in the day, your point guard got everybody involved and only scored, or was primarily a scorer when they said, "Oh, okay, we're going to take these guys away."
How many of those guys are left?
Not many, because a lot of people like to be, as you say, kind of scoring point guards. And I think IQ can be that. But we watched him come from New York and distribute the ball, run, screen, and roll, become involved as a pure point guard. And I think he's got the potential to continue to have a great balance of the two.
Yeah.
Like when he was in New York, come off the bench, mini microwave, score. Well, no. You don't have to do that anymore. We want you to be more of a playmaker. We want you to be the guy at the point of attack defensively.
It's a lot of upgrade and responsibility.
Welcome to being a point guard.
He was 18 or 19 points per game with the Raptors last year. There's no reason why he can't do that again. And I thought during the tail end of the season, he really started to find himself as a point guard. As a distributor first. Now, I don't want him to go away from the thing that he's the best at, which is the above the break three, right? He was the number one shooter from that spot in the NBA last year. So there are moments there in the last preseason game, or the second last preseason game, I thought there was a moment where you could get him involved into that action in some early offense where Scotty sort of attacked the defense and should have just turned and kind of handed it off to him in a dribble drive situation, in sort of a dribble handoff situation, and he didn't see it. The ball ended up going back to Quickley, and he made the three. But like you can get that for Quickley.
For more plays like that, tune into De La Salle's senior boys basketball team.
I got junior girls right now. We're top of the 4-2.
But here's the other part of that. He doesn't have to handle the ball all the time.
No,
Scotty,
that's it.
You have other people to do it. Scotty.
But it also weirds it up a bit, right? Because we want you to be a point guard, but also
listen. He's the best 3-point shooter on the team.
Yes,
he's the percentage wise and the way it looks, the way it comes off. This kid can shoot it. So yes, Jonesy, I'm with you. Find other guys, get everyone in their sweet spot, but you still got to be a scorer.
You do, and like I said, let me throw a name at you. Steve Nash.
Yeah,
got everybody involved, But when early in the game, he got people involved.
Well, he had the ball in his hand.
He did.
80%
He
of the
did.
possession.
He did. But the other guys felt comfortable too. They all scored. Amari Stoudemire, Sean Marion.
Amari Stoudemire couldn't dribble.
But
he didn't have to.
But I'd like to
But
get,
my point
I'd like
is,
to get him to 18, 19, 20 points per game, not 15 and a half.
But my point is, then once the other guys are threats, now you look for your scoring.
Yeah.
And now you keep it balanced. And I think IQ is more than capable of doing that.
Yeah.
He's shown us that, and I expect to see it this year.
I hand you off to the head coach of your Toronto Raptors, Darko Rakovic.
Any changes in, I don't want to make you feel like a doctor again, but any changes in any practice statuses or anything going into tomorrow?
RJ Barrett participated more in the practice. He's doing every day more. He's literally day to day at this point. We'll see what tomorrow brings and how we approach with the game with him. Kelly did not participate in practice today. He's feeling better, but still not to the point that he can participate in team practices. And there is no update and change with Bruce Brown and Jacob.
Any contact for RJ today?
No, not yet. No. Not yet. Not yet for a contract. He took participation in practice, but we made sure that he's only getting reps against coaches, and we were trying to avoid contact there.
There seems to be a real closeness and camaraderie with this group. I imagine a lot of that has to do with the time that they spent together over the summer. Compared to teams that you've been a part of in the past, like, is this unique? And do you think that something like that kind of togetherness and camaraderie will translate on the court?
I'm 100% sure that this team is connected. This team has very high empathy and love for each other, and they're really cheering for each other. In each game, in each practice, they're doing a really good job of communicating with each other. When we commit some mistake, players are always patient, talking to each other, how we can solve problems, coaching each other, and that's a testament for teams that are very, very connected. So I do believe that that's going to translate into the games as well, because they're going to be more connected and fighting for each other. And I mean, we're playing team sport, so you need to have that team spirit inside the team.
Sometimes going into the season, there's like a mantra or words that kind of like set the tone or the theme of the season. Has anything kind of emerged with you to tell the guys?
I mean, we're talking about our togetherness. We're talking about our competitive spirit. We're talking about the need to win every single day, to win every practice, to win every shoot around, to win and compete in every single game. So for us this year is everything is going to be about process and our growth.
All right, Coach said it. Let's break it down. First and foremost, I want to get, Randy, from you, your expectation of what a successful season for Darko looks like, knowing that this is year two, but in a way, it's kind of a half step back in that the roster isn't what it was, and we're admitting it's a rebuild. Mm-hmm. So what do you want to see from Darko? What are the markers that he needs to hit to say that despite the franchise going in a different direction from when he came in here, he's on that same time?
I think the beauty of Darko as a head coach is that he can fit into any mold about where the team is at this moment, right, in time. I think Darko could be a great coach for a top team in the East, and I think he can be a great coach in this sort of rebuilding sort of phase that the Raptors are in. So, look, he's a lifetime certified coach. This kid knows what this guy
schoolboy coach.
This guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He knows how to get players to buy in. His energy is infectious. I have no expectations other than he's just going to be better in the ways that he thinks he needs to be better for the Raptors.
I think,
like you learn things along the way.
Sure you do.
What are the traditional metrics? We got player development. We got end of game management.
I think this year is different for him because last year at this time, remember what the roster looked like with Pascal and OG. And like, am I trying to get
Gary
into the
Trent
playoffs? But I have these young guys I'm trying to develop.
There's a clear direction.
It is a clear direction. And Darko being a guy, as Randy said, those are some of the markers you look at. And they're not all numbers based, as I said yesterday. Player development, continue to build relationships. Just overall, is the team moving forward? Do they win more games? Is it comparable? Like, what's Scotty's development like? What is Grady, Ochai?
So
those
is it
are
more
all
based on the
things you look
players?
at.
Because I don't think we're watching wins and losses, right? Because to some people, that's
it's an interesting thing. You make a great point, Jonesy. It's like, how much better is Grady going to be? How much better is Scotty going to be? Quickly, is he going to increase his productivity from in terms of distributing the ball? Now, those are player-specific things. Like, those come from the player. How much is the coach involved in all that? I think with this team, with this group of guys, the coach is going to have a big effect in those areas.
Absolutely.
I think so. If we look at Grady taking a big step and Scotty taking that, if he was an all-star, I think if Scotty gets into the conversation of all NBA, that's not just Scotty. That's
Absolutely.
what Darko has given him to work on. And I think the coach is a big look. We're coaches. I think the coaching matters.
And it started this summer too. It started this summer when Darko had training camps with the guys in different places, going to visit players, giving them, as he said, at the end of the year, sitting down with a plan saying, hey, here's your homework for the summer. Here's what I want you to work on.
Can I throw a word out for Darko's coaching style that I don't think I've ever used for a coach? Intimacy. It's very intimate with his players. Everyone talks about the relationship that they have just beyond the X's and O's and outside of the arena, and that's, I think...
Wasn't it RJ that
you
said
need
he's
that.
never had a coach,
Gary Trent talked about that last year. But listen, there's an old adage in coaching. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
All right, your Toronto Raptors kick off their regular season Wednesday night at Scotiabank Arena against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Those same Cleveland Cavaliers we'll talk about and break down right now. The Cavs were expected to be the next it team in this Eastern Conference. Obviously, this offseason, the Eastern Conference got a super upgrade with what the Knicks have done to themselves. Do they surpass, 48 wins last year for the Cavs?
They're sure hoping so, because I thought JB Bickerstaff did a really good job. There they are at 48-34. And I mean, it's a case of...
And you're upset that JB's gone?
Well, it's a case of same car, different driver.
Kenny Atkinson at the helm.
What can Kenny Atkinson get out of them? And you would hope that experience would play a part, and health too, when you think about it. They didn't have, Donovan Mitchell, didn't make it to 60 games.
Yep.
Evan Mobley didn't
He made
make
it to 60 points, but not 60 games.
Yeah, and so, I don't know what the relationships were like. I wasn't in the locker room. But from the outside, I thought J.B. Bickerstaff did a good job. And I'm not saying that's to decry Kenny Atkinson. Kenny Atkinson is a good coach.
Could this team, Randy, have done better? Was it the coach? Do you see...
Yeah, I mean,
did they leave wins on the floor last year?
Well, they left man games on the floor.
That's
right?
what they left on the floor.
Evan
But is that the
Mobley
coach?
only played 50-some games. Garland played 50-some games. Donovan Mitchell 50-some games. Those are your three best players.
Who's at fault, the doctor or the coach?
So that's what I said. You fix the car, you just put a different driver in, right? And
I would also give.
This might be the last time they give this double bigs.
I was about to say, I think this roster is redundant, and not just in the double big situation. When you talk about Allen and Mobley, I think it's also very much the same case with Garland in the backcourt and Mitchell in the backcourt.
Yeah, I think if Mobley has taken a step, sort of
as with his perimeter skills.
Yeah, with his. Yeah. They need to get him the ball. They need to see what this guy can do. Yeah. I think you got tough tools like that. You have to see what he can do. So Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland have to figure out how to say, okay, all three of us can get 20 or so. Let's figure out how we do that, because I think this kid could be unbelievable.
I think it's like you said, I think it's a case of figuring it out, and I think it's a case of sometimes guys sacrificing.
Who is the likely one to sacrifice? Because Mitchell's got his bag now, but it's a shorter contract. Garland's going to want to get.
Garland was talking about how the haters were on him all last year. I'm like, what? Who? When? What? You were injured. What are you talking about?
We go back to the point guard discussion. Some of that will fall on Darius Garland.
To take a step back?
No.
Or to learn to control the group better?
To kind of try and get everybody involved. Listen, I love that kid. I think he's a good player. I think he's a really good player. But it's the balance now. Distributing. I mean, a guy like Jared Allen, you don't have to run stuff for him because he'll go and get his own.
Yeah, I think Donovan Mitchell has to be the guy that sort of sacrifices a little bit, and he can still be the guy that demands the ball at the end of the game, but throughout the game, getting everybody comfortable, getting his for sure, because he's a gifted scorer. But I think Donovan Mitchell needs to be a bit better playing with other people throughout the course of the whole game.
Well, we'll see if the driver can do that.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
We'll see it because, like I said, they've improved in terms of experience and hopefully cohesion, being together, taking the losses. Although I give them credit. They were one of the 2 teams that got a game off Boston in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But Kenny Atkinson being around winning in Golden State,
Mm-hmm.
can he bring some of that to them?
Okay, so with all that being said, Raptors have the Cavs on Wednesday night, but quickly,
Raptors 3-0 against the Cavs in season openers in Toronto.
Yeah.
Oh, so is that a prediction?
I'm just telling you.
Is that?
I'm just telling you.
You're pointing us in a direction.
I'm pointing you in a direction.
All right. Well, guess what? We got to point them in one last direction ahead of the regular season. Still more to come. Our final comments ahead of the first game of the year. Fourth quarter final frame with the boys, Randy and Jonesy. Randy, are you watching Love is Blind? Do you have anything to share with us?
I haven't been watching it this year, so I have nothing to share.
Locked in, man.
I'm locked in. I'm all basketball.
He's
all right?
coaching
Okay,
now.
so
He's got film
Basketball is
study.
blind.
He's
That's
got
right.
Video,
That's right.
film
De La
study
Salle,
like this.
4-2, top of the league. We got playoffs next week.
Okay, make sure to tune in. Locked in for the regular season of the NBA as well. What's
Yeah.
most exciting?
Are
for
you a high
this-
seed?
There's something
No one
happens.
cares.
We could be 1 or 4.
No one cares.
Okay,
Well,
we could be 1 or 4.
pressure's
No one
on-
cares.
Pressure's on the
Talk
coach.
about the NBA.
Same car, new driver
Are you
next year.
are you asking me about what I'm excited about, Raptors wise or,
No,
or
NBA wise. Who's got you? Like for me, it's the Sixers. I really want to see how this Paul George experience plays out.
I want to see what happens in Memphis with John Morant
and Zach
and
Edey.
Zach Edey.
That's a good one.
That's what I want to see.
I'm anxious to see to watch Minnesota with that
Why?
trade.
Randall?
Because I think Anthony Edwards, that kid's a star.
No one's mentioning the Knicks. The Knicks have been the coolest thing all summer.
They were good
First
last
they made the
year.
moves. Now DiVincenzo's beefing with Daddy.
Over under how many games played Embiid and Paul George
Together?
total? I'm
33.
Going, together combined.
Together, 33
33
games.
games. I'm going 75.
Together?
Yeah.
Oh.
They both play half the season.
They need to play hard enough to get to April and then be healthy and turn it on in April.
The
That's
East
all I
is
can
interesting
say.
again as we look at the power rankings. You got Boston up there, but the Knicks are a hot button topic. The Sixers look good. I don't believe in the Cavs. Shout out to my guy Spicy P out there in Indiana, though.
Who you got in the finals?
Who I got in the finals? Ooh, we were talking about that yesterday. You know what? I'm gonna surprise you. I'm going Phoenix, Philly.
Wow.
Phoenix, Philly, you heard it here first.
Wow.
Akil Augustine, do remember.
I'm sorry,
No,
that's-
Raptors. I got the
that's
Raptors.
wrong.
Raptors take on the Cavs October 23rd. That's Wednesday night, 7:30. Catch it on Sportsnet. TSN's got the radio call. That does it for us. We'll see you next week. Deuces.